Hey guys, so I decided to do a video of me going over the study guide. I have the detailed answer sheet up already, but this is just me going over it in case it's a little easier for you to understand with me talking it to you. Okay, so I'm going to share that worksheet with you right now. If you're having trouble opening up the worksheet, just let me know so that I can fix it or try and email it to you. I want you to, be able to access it. So just let me know. Remind is the easiest way to reach me, okay? All right. So I'm gonna do, I think, this. That way I can show the calculator. Okay. All right, so study guide, review on 8.6 to 8.10. You should all have this one. I'm using the one without the answers in it because I'm going to write in the answers. I recommend you use that one as well if you're following along with this video. Feel free to pause too if you want to try it for yourself and then watch me do it. It's up to you. So first up, all this stuff on the top, the sum of the interior angles in a quadrilateral is 360 degrees, blah, 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 blah. Okay. These are all things that you can find on that quadrilateral fact sheet. Let me pull that up so that you can see what that looks like. This one. Okay, this quadrilateral fact sheet, everything here has the answers, all the information that you'll need, okay? It tells you a bunch of facts about these quadrilaterals. If it doesn't say it, it's probably not true, okay? Keep in mind, though, that if it's a drop down from one, so this is, I forget what they call them, but I'm just going to call it a drop down graph. So at the top, we have quadrilaterals, okay? Then we have three types of quadrilaterals. There is kites, trapezoids, and parallelograms, okay? If we go all the way to the right to parallelograms, there are three types of parallelograms: a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square, okay? So starting with the rhombus and the rectangle, okay, all the things that they have listed below them, okay, those are all facts about them, but they also share the same facts from parallelogram, okay? So anything from this part right here under the thing is included, as well as the stuff above it. So a rhombus also has opposite sides that are parallel, opposite sides congruent, opposite angles congruent, and consecutive angles supplementary, and the diagonals bisect each other. Okay, so all these rules apply to this. Same thing with rectangle. All those rules apply to rectangle. But they also, so they have all the same rules as parallelograms, but then they also have 4 right angles, and their diagonals are congruent. Where in a rhombus, they have all the rules of the parallelogram, but they also have 4 congruent sides, and their diagonals are perpendicular, and their diagonals bisect opposite angles. All right, this last one, the square. Okay, square has all of the properties of everything above it. Okay, see how it's attached to the rhombus, the rectangle, and then the rhombus and the rectangle are both attached to a parallelogram. Okay, so everything listed here is a property of a square. Okay, same thing with the left side. Okay, so we go from quadrilaterals to trapezoid. Okay, so there's all these rules from the trapezoid. Okay, only one pair of opposite sides are parallel, called bases. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Okay, when it's talking about consecutive angles, just to be clear, okay, it's talking about like here and here. So this angle is supplementary to this one, and this angle is supplementary to this angle. Okay, the two base angles might be congruent. That's why if it's an isosceles trapezoid. Okay, so it's the ones on top of each other. So then for an isosceles trapezoid, it's got all the same rules as the trapezoid, but then it also has these 4 extra rules, okay? And then lastly, for a kite, okay, it doesn't have any of these rules. It only has the ones that it's listed, these 3, okay? And then whatever rules for quadrilateral, which really the only rules for quadrilaterals are that their interior angles add up to 360 degrees, and they have 4 sides. Okay, so that's really all that you need to know about this sheet and how to read it. And if you know how to read it and you have it with you while you're taking your test, it's got everything you could need, okay? All right, but I made this other study guide just to be a little bit more helpful to apply those rules on questions, okay? Most of these facts I got from that sheet. These ones are just ones that I think might be a little more important to remember. But please keep in mind that you will want to have that fact sheet because there's not everything on here that you would need to know. All right, next thing, how to find the midsegment of a trapezoid. So we've done this before, but it's kind of been a while. I don't even remember when we did it, but I do remember us doing it. So remember, to find the midsegment of a quadrilateral, you take the average of the top base and the bottom base and divide by 2. Okay, so one thing you'll need to remember is what a midsegment is. So MN in this trapezoid is going to be a midsegment. Okay, so to find the length of that, okay, we already have the length, but to find the length of that, we would add AB and DC. So that's the top base, that's the bottom base. And then we divide by 2, and that would give us 22. So when we're writing this out to solve and try and figure out what AB is, okay, since we already know the midsegment, we're just going to use, we're going to set up our equation like this. All right. So top base, which is just AB, I'm just going to use X to represent that. Oops. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. See if I can turn my volume down. All right, so we're going to use X. That's a beautiful X, I know, but hopefully you get the idea. So we're going to do the top base, which is X, plus the bottom base, which is 29, divide by 2, and that gives us the midsegment, which is 22. Okay? This is not. There we go. Hopefully that helps. Maybe not. All right, so that's going to be the way we're going to set up our equation. From here, at first it looks a little tricky, but the easiest way to solve this is just by getting rid of that fraction. So we're going to multiply. I guess it's not working. Oh, it's on my phone. It's ringing. So we are going to divide by 2 on both sides. Or no, sorry, we're going to multiply by 2 on both sides. When we multiply by 2 on both sides, we're going to get when we multiply by 2 on both sides, we're going to get X plus 29 equals 44. Okay, because 22 times 2 is just 44. Okay, from here, to get X by itself, all we need to do is subtract 29 on both sides. And when we do that, I'm going to bring out my calculator because I know you guys like to use those, and I totally agree. All right, 2 times 22, just to prove it, 44. And now we're going to subtract 29 on both sides. Then we're going to get X by itself, and we just get X equals 15. All right, so when it's asking to find AB, we got it. It's just 15. All right, next question. All right, this one is asking us to find the measure of angle C and the measure of angle E. All right, so we know that this is a trapezoid, okay, because it's got these arrows here, which means it's got a pair of opposite parallel sides. Or it has a set of parallel sides, but only one set, okay? So from here, we're gonna not do that. We are going to go here. All right, so remember, on trapezoids, if we look at our fact sheet, okay, it said that consecutive angles are supplementary, okay? What does that mean, supplementary? Remember, supplementary means 180. Every time you see supplementary, you should think 180. Okay, so that means that adjacent angles add up to 180, or consecutive, sorry. Okay, so that just means that angle C plus angle F equals 180, and angle D plus angle E equals 180. Okay, because all four of them should add up to 360 because it's a quadrilateral. All right, so let's just first solve for E, or C. Let's solve for C first. Okay, so our equation is just going to look like this. 180 minus 79 equals C. And then to find E, it's just going to be 180 minus 134 equals E. All right, and let's just use our calculator just to make it easier. Clear it out. 180 minus 79 equals 101. So angle C is 101 degrees. Okay. And to find angle E, 180 minus 134 equals 46 degrees. Okay, easy, right? All right, moving on. Number 3, find X and RS. Okay, this, even though it looks a little different, is still a trapezoid. Okay, it's got the opposite sides. It's got one set of parallel sides. Okay, these tick marks here tell us that it is a mid-segment. Okay, that VW is the mid-segment. So we're going to use that same thing we used here, except this time, instead of just numbers, we're going to have to use expressions. Okay, but we're not really missing anything. We just need to find X, and then we're going to find RS. Okay, so all you need to do here is we're going to set up our equation. So remember the top base. So the top base is 2x plus 15 plus the bottom base, which is 6x minus 37. And we're going to divide that by 2. And we're going to set that equal to the mid-segment, which they told us is 3x plus 5. Okay, so all we did here is the top base, which is RS, which is 2x plus 15, plus the bottom base, 6x minus 37, and divide by 2. Okay, just like we did up here, we're dividing by 2. Remember, average is adding whatever together, dividing by the amount of things that we're adding together. Okay, so 2x plus 15 plus 6x minus 37 divided by 2 equals our mid-segment, which they gave us was 3x plus 5. From here, best thing to do is, there's 2 things you can do. Doesn't matter what order you do it in. You can multiply by 2 on both sides and get rid of the fraction altogether, or you can start by simplifying up top. Either way, it's still the same thing. I'm just going to multiply by 2 to get rid of that fraction. So we've got now 2x plus 15 plus 6x minus 37 equals 2 times 3x plus 5. So you can see all that. Okay. It will come up eventually. It's just a slow process. There you go. All right. Now we're going to, we can combine like terms and we can distribute. I'm just going to do them all together. I hope that's okay with everyone. If you got lost, please just message me on Remind and I can try and clear it up for you a little bit. All I'm going to do is combine like terms. So 6 and 2x is going to give me what? 6, 7, 8. 8x. Okay. So we've got 8. We've got 8x. And then we've got 15 and negative 37. So let's use our calculator again. 15 minus 37 equals negative 22. Okay. So that's negative 22. And then for the other part, we're just going to multiply. We're going to distribute that too. 2 times 3x is 6x, and 2 times 5 is 10. So plus 10. Okay. All right, and lastly, all we need to do is, combine like terms. So, get the x by itself. So we can subtract 6x on both sides and add 22. When we subtract 6x on both sides, we get 2x. And then when we add 22 on both sides, we end up getting 32. All right, hopefully you got that. All we did was subtract 6x and on both sides. So that cancels out this 6x, and then it subtracts 6 from 8, which is 2. And then we added 22 on both sides. When we add 22 on both sides, this is going to end up being canceled out, and 22 plus 10 is just 32. Okay? Now all we need to do is do 32 divided by 2, which just gives us 16. Okay, so that one we got x equals 16. Hopefully, there you go. All right. I'm going to go back and highlight the answers just so we have, so you can see them. First answer was x equals 15. Okay, they asked us for AB, but remember we substituted in x for AB. There you go. All right, so x equals 15. This one, the answers are right here. C is 101 and E is 46. And then lastly, this one is x equals 16. All right. Oh, remember we also, for this one, needed to find RS. Okay, so once we found x equals 16, we just need to plug it in. Okay, so 2 times 16, let's just do it in our calculator. 2 times 16 equals plus 15. 47. Okay, so we get RS equals 47. Alrighty. All right. Let's go on to the next page. All right, given that MR equals x plus 4, RO equals 3x minus 10, PN equals 2x plus 28, what is the value of x? Okay, so this is a trapezoid still. Okay, we know that because it's got opposite sides parallel, or it's got one set of parallel sides. Keep saying it wrong. All right, from here, we need to remember that on trapezoids, their diagonals are congruent. Okay, we can look at that fact sheet real quick. Wherever it may be. It's hiding. There it is. Trapezoids. Oh yeah, right here. Isosceles trapezoid, which this is an isosceles trapezoid. Okay, so the diagonals are congruent. Okay, you see it right here. Diagonals are congruent. Alrighty. So they give us that this piece here is x plus 4, and this piece is 3x minus 10. And then they give us this other diagonal is 2x plus 28. Okay? But we know that MO is congruent to PN, right? So they don't give us MO, though. They give us two pieces of MO, okay, that make up the whole thing. So all we're going to do is add MR plus RO and set it equal to PN, okay? Because MR, that's part of it. MR plus RO equals MO, okay? So we're just going to add those two together, set it equal to that. So our equation is going to look like this. X plus 4. That's the one piece of MO. And then 3x minus 10. You don't have to put in parentheses. I'm only doing that because I want you to see that x plus 4 goes to MR. RO goes to the 3x minus 10. All right. And we're going to set that equal to PN, which is 2x plus 28, right? Because if this two added together equals MO, okay, that's the whole diagonal. That diagonal is going to be equal to the other diagonal, okay? All right, from here, we're going to combine like terms. Sorry, it's kind of lagging a lot today. But it will eventually show up. If you're listening, you'll be able to hear it, okay? So we're just going to combine like terms on that side there, the one that's appearing on the screen. All right, so we've got 3x and x plus 4 minus 10 equals 2x plus 28. All I did was rearrange it so that I put the x's next to each other and the other numbers next to each other. 3x and x gives me 4x. 4 minus 10 gives me negative 6. And this is still 2x plus 28. All right, and then from here, we're just going to move them on to the appropriate sides and get x by itself. We're going to add 6 on both sides and subtract 2x on both sides. We're going to end up with 2x equals 28 plus 6. You know, we've got the calculator, might as well use it. And we get 34. To get x by itself, we're going to divide by 2. And we get x equals 17. All right. And that's all they asked for. What's the value of x? So x equals 17. All right, number 5. WXYZ is a kite. Find ZY. All right, so on this one, okay, we have to remember that on kites, their diagonals are perpendicular, meaning that they intersect. Where the diagonals intersect, it's going to be perpendicular. It's going to be a right angle. Okay, so you can just draw in that right angle if you want to. Okay, anywhere along here. Okay, let's see what we're looking for though. We're looking for ZY. All right, so I'm just going to put my right angle right there. It'll show up in a second. There it is. All right, so I'm going to put my little right angle there. Now, if you look, there is a nice little right triangle right there. Okay. There's a nice right triangle right here that I am highlighting and should show up any second. All right, so all we're looking for the hypotenuse because they gave us the 2 legs, 4 and 7, and we're looking for the hypotenuse. So all we need to do is use the Pythagorean theorem. There it is. Okay, Pythagorean theorem, remember, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, they give us that this piece here, this leg is 4, so 4 squared plus this leg is 7, 7 squared equals c squared. 4 squared is 4 times 4 is 16. 7 times 7 is 49. Go to our calculator. 16, let's clear it, make sure. 16 plus 49 equals 65. And then we need to get c by itself. So we are going to take the square root of both sides, and we're going to get c equals square root of 65. Don't worry about simplifying. You can just leave it like that. Okay, square root of 65. All right, and that's what zy equals. So I'm just going to put equals zy. See, that one wasn't too bad. All right. All right, find the measure of angle V. All right, so this is a kite. Sorry for the horrendous drawing and tick marks and all sorts of things, but this is a kite. Okay, the reason we know it's a kite is because it's got sides right next to each other that are congruent. So adjacent sides are congruent. All right, so in a kite, remember that the opposite angles are going to be congruent. Okay, so the angles in between are going to be congruent. So if angle W is 65, we also know that angle U has to be 65. Okay, it's the ones that are across from each other this way. And you can always try and look at it to determine that. but always look at the ones, so the angles in between those consecutive sides. Think of if we had a line drawn here, okay, this would be two congruent triangles. So that would be, this angle would be congruent to that. Okay, so we know angle U is 65. So now all we need to do is find angle V. Okay, remember in a quadrilateral, all the angles add up to 360. So all we need to do is go in our calculator and add up all of those angles. So it's going to be 65 plus 65 plus 91 equals whatever we get, we're going to subtract from 360. So 360 minus whatever we got. Okay, so let's add those together. So 65 plus 65 plus 91 equals 221. So I'm going to write that down right there. 221. Okay, that's W plus U plus T equals. All right, and now we're just going to subtract that number from 360. So 360 minus 221 equals angle V, which means that angle V equals 139. Okay, I'll redo it in the calculator so that it looks better. 360, oops, 360 minus 221 equals 139. Okay, so angle V equals 139. All right, let me highlight that answer. And we look back at the question, that is all they asked for. All right. All right, I did highlight it, but I'm not going to wait for it to show up. All right, next question says, given rectangle GHIJ, find the value of x. Okay, we got 3 more questions. These are all, well, 2 of them are rectangles. Still not highlighted. All right. All right, given rectangle GHIJ, find the value of x. So all we got to do here is remember that these in rectangles, they've got 4 right angles. Okay, so rectangles right here, 4 right angles. So we know that this angle right here, or on our sheet, this one right here has to add up to 90 degrees. Okay, so all we got to do for this one, 3x plus 2 plus 12x minus 17 equals 90. All right, we're going to combine like terms. 3x and 12x gives me 15x. Negative 17 plus 2 gives me negative 15. We're going to add 15 on both sides, which is going to give me 105. And then we're going to divide by 15 on both sides. And 105 divided by 15 is, I think it's 7. Yes, 7. So our answer for x is 7. That was one of the questions. And actually, that was the only question. So we got our answer. All right, number 8. If ABCD is a rectangle, find the length of DB and EB. So also what we need to remember with rectangles about their diagonals, okay? Diagonals are congruent. Okay, we also know from parallelograms that the diagonals bisect each other, which means they cut them right in half. So knowing that the diagonals are congruent and that they bisect each other, okay, we know that AE is congruent to EC, DE is congruent to EB, and they're all congruent to each other, okay? So all of those pieces, AE equals 15, EB equals 15, EC equals 15, and DE equals 15. So the first thing they ask is for they ask for DB and EB, okay? EB, we know, is just going to be 15 because it's congruent to all the other ones, okay? So I'm just going to write that down. EB equals 15. Highlight it. And then they ask us for DB. Okay, DB is the full length. If EB equals 15, okay, we already know that DE also equals 15. So to figure out DB, it's just 15 plus 15, which is going to be 30. So DB equals 30. Okay, which means AC equals 30 also. Okay. All right, last question. Given the polygon below is a rhombus, find the measures of angles 3, 6, and 8. Okay, so in a rhombus, the things that are going to be important for us here are that the diagonals are perpendicular, meaning that they intersect at a perpendicular angle. So right off the bat, we know what angle 8 is, okay? All 4 of these angles in the center here are 90-degree angles because the diagonals are perpendicular, meaning they intersect at a 90-degree angle. So let's start with angle 8. We know measure of angle 8 equals 90, okay, because it's a right angle, okay, because they're perpendicular. All right, next we need angle 6 or angle 3, either way. So we also need to know that in a rhombus, that the diagonals bisect opposite angles, meaning that the diagonals cut the angles in half, so into 2 equal angles. So this diagonal here is cutting that whole angle into 2 equal parts. So we know 4 is equal to 5, and we know 3 is equal to this one, 38. So angle 3 equals 38 degrees. All right. Lastly, they want us to find angle 6. Okay. So if we know that that's 38, okay, remember, we already said, let me use this little marker here, that 3 is congruent to 38, and it's congruent to those. So those are all congruent. All 4 of those angles are congruent. I put weird little art marks. Okay. So we can use the triangle here to try and figure that out. So let's use this triangle right here. Okay. So if we know that this angle right here is 90, this one we know angle 5 is 38. I mean, make sure we know. So this is our one answer, this is our other answer. All right, we know that the measure of angle 5 equals 38. And we know 8 is 90. Okay, so we're just going to add those together. And using this triangle, we know that there's 180 degrees in a triangle. And since it, so we're going to do 180 minus angle 8, which is 90 degrees. So 90 degrees minus angle 5, which is, we said 38 degrees. So subtract 38. That gives us 52 degrees to go to measure of angle 6. So measure of angle 6 equals 52 degrees. Okay? That's our third answer there. All right, and just so you know, we know that angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, and angle 6, those are all 52 degrees. Okay? Angle 3, 38, 4, and 5, those are all 38 degrees. Okay? And then if they had numbers for all of these angles here, they're all 90 degrees. All right. So that's the last of the study guide. So if you have any further questions, please let me know. Remember, you can use the study guide on your test, so please do, so that you can do the best that you can on the test. If you have questions while you're taking the test, just let me know. If it's in reasonable hours, I should be able to get to you. If it's during my office hours, I will be able to get to you. If not, I will try my best. All right. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. Good luck.